Good morning. Happy Tuesday. You remember when this was Tip Tuesday? For those of you who've been following the show for a long time, I remember Tip Tuesday. That was the only day I talked about wealth and abundance. Look at us now. Anyway, this is Tuesday, so happy Tuesday. This is the 12th episode of season 4 of the Be Your Own Hero show. HERO is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, helping others helps you. It's a reciprocal action. Build that muscle. I'm your host. I'm Sekouwrites. I'm a professional creative, an author, a speaker, playwright, and the creator of the Hero Ministry Movement, which is my effort to uplift and inspire people in general and the unhoused community in specific. Shout out to New Thought Media Network for allowing me the space and the opportunity to be here to talk about my journey of becoming my own financial hero. And I hope that journey encourages you and helps you on your way. And join me here Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:45 a.m. Central, 7:45 a.m. Mountain, to talk about my journey of becoming my own financial hero. If this show feeds you, moves you, gives you any bit of information that you find helpful, please like, please comment, please share. And remember, I am not a personal trainer, nor am I a financial advisor, so take what I say with a grain of salt, which is to say, do your own due diligence. Do your own due diligence. All right, let's get into it. So, once again, episode 12, season 4, and we're jumping right into the Hero Ministry Movement news, which takes us straight to the run report. So today is day 359. If you can believe that, it's day 359. I'm going to show you my run report from this morning. It's posted everywhere except TikTok. For some reason, I forgot about TikTok today, so I'll post it to TikTok afterwards, after the show. But it's up everywhere else. It's on Instagram and Facebook. And here is today's run report. Here we go.
Streak, day 359. I've been running at least a mile a day, every single day since the first day of June. That brings us to 359 consecutive days as of today. I feel so blessed that so many people are asking me what's up with day 365. People in all these different cities are asking me how we're going to celebrate day 365. So day 365, just a reminder, is May 31st. And what I would like is for everybody to exercise. Do some form of exercise and post it on social media if you're on social media. If you're not on social media, just do it for you in solidarity. If you're on social media, use the hashtag Sekou Hero Charity Run. And let's have a virtual exercise party, right? Yeah, because I'm actually going to be in a whole new city on day 365. So that's an announcement you'll be getting soon. Stay tuned. Streak.
Okay, so there we go. As you saw, people have been asking me how to join with me in celebration on day 365. And I'm taking it all the way back to June. For those of you that have been following this journey, you may remember that in June of last year, when I started this journey, people joined me in a movement for the month of June. In other words, people offered to be in solidarity with me while I was running every day for the month of June by doing whatever it was that they wanted to do physically. And there were lots of different things that happened. People walked, people lifted weights, people did yoga. There's a number of different things. So we're bringing that back. So what did I just say? May 31st. So on day 365, please join me in solidarity by moving, by exercising, by doing something a little bit more than you would typically do. And if you're on social media, please post it. And there we go. It'll be like a virtual movement day. So that'll be fun. And as I said in my run report, I'm going to be in a completely different city, meaning a city I have not run in yet, completely different state. So yeah, it's going to be a whole new thing. All right. So that said, shout out to the Hero Nation that's tuning in. Shout out to Nan. Shout out to Tim. Shout out to everybody in everybody in the chat, everybody who's watching now, and everybody who's going to be watching later on demand. Thanks for being here. Okay, other Hero Ministry Movement news. let's see. I just wanted to circle back to my speech at the Change for Change Gala. Where's my award? Oh, here's my award. It's up here. You can't see it because it's transparent. There's my award from Project Love Strong. This is the Dedicated Community Partner Award presented to me on Saturday by Project Love Strong. Very proud of this. It's my first award as a humanitarian as opposed to as a writer. So very excited about this. Anyway, my mom was asking me about my speech because I mentioned it here, but I didn't say what it was about. So what I did for my speech is I told the story that I told here on the show on Friday about Aaron. If you don't remember that story, basically I was saying that at the starting line of the half marathon, that Aaron was telling me how much I've changed during the pandemic. Well, actually, he was telling me how much I've changed, but he only met me during the pandemic. And so I was talking about that story, and I said on Saturday that maybe what makes it feel like I've changed so much, well, maybe I have changed so much, but maybe what makes it feel like I've changed even more is that what I'm doing now is for other people, and that just resonates differently. So I told that story, and then Heather, who was the woman who won my ticket, my extra ticket, came up to me and said, I thought you were going to say that showing up for yourself allowed you to show up for others. And I was like, okay, Heather, all right, Miss Speechwriter, where were you when I needed you? So I thought that was really cool, very cool comment, and something that I've said on this show, specifically in reference to Mr. Charles, but other times too. So that's what I talked about. That's why I was so long-winded on the microphone without intending to be on Saturday. All right, moving on to the Dice Roll Challenge. Dice Roll Challenge. Good morning, Margaretta, and thanks for the congratulations. Yes, I appreciate it. All right, Dice Roll Challenge. Yesterday's number was 6, which is the highest number we've got, and today's number is 5. It might be going down sequentially. So yesterday was 6, today is 5. I'm just making a note so I can add it up at the end of the week in case you miss doing it daily. You can get the full number for the week. Speaking of which, the number for last week is 16. The idea here is to take this money out of circulation and set it aside to be invested. To be invested. To be invested. Not for any other purpose, but to be invested. Because the number one reason that people give for not investing is that they don't have enough money to invest. But here you go. This is how you're creating the funds to invest. All right, moving on to Morning Zen. So as you know, if you've been watching the show, I've been talking about this book called How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever. I can't even say that title without smiling. How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever by Victor Bach, BOC. Check it out. That said, we've been talking about cars. We started talking about cars a little bit, and now we're circling back to the cars. So I asked if you were going to be given a car yesterday now, what kind of car would it be? And then I asked, is that car that you wrote down your dream car? So the reason I did that exercise this way is I remixed something that's in the book. The reason I did the exercise that way is to illustrate what I've been trying to explain in terms of my half marathon. Because I'm willing to bet that most of you wrote down a car that you were going to get today, and that car is different from your dream car, right? As a matter of fact, I think Gladys said that she was trying to be more practical. She wrote down Tesla, but what she really wanted was a Corvette Stingray, but she thought that's not practical. So this is what I'm trying to illustrate, that we build these expectations that we're not even aware of that are different from the big, grand thing that we really want. And the lesson of the book and the lesson from my half marathon is to expect what you want, not what you think you can have. Expect and want and train for and think about what you actually want, not what you think you can have. It's a muscle you have to build of not just aiming for just enough to get by, just enough to have your bills paid, just to have a decent car. No, ask for what you want. Dare to dream greatly. Dare to ask greatly also. So that's the exercise. So if the car that you wrote down, the car that you thought about, is not your dream car, then that's the difference between what you expect and what you want. And you got to close the gap. And I've illustrated this a couple of times in terms of my half marathon. What I wanted was to run the half marathon in 2 hours. What I expected, what fit nicely within my belief box, was 2 hours and 15 minutes because that's what I trained for. That's what I expected. So at the subconscious level, you are constantly manifesting what you expect, whether you realize it or not. Right? That was a tremendous illustration for me. It was very impactful for me. And I tell people out here in the world, I tell other runners, and they're like, oh, no, you probably just started off too fast. Nah, man. Nah, man. I had a 60-second window to get across that finish line at exactly 2:15. You know what I mean? Like exactly 2 hours and 15 minutes. A minute only lasts 60 seconds. And I happened to cross within that window, despite everything else that happened for the past 13.1 miles. And a lot of stuff happened. There's no way that's a coincidence. It's because at the level of my subconscious, my belief box was set to 2 hours and 15 minutes. I didn't really believe that I could do it in 2. I didn't train for it. I didn't work for it. I didn't think about it. I thought about it as a wish. Like, oh, that would be nice if. But I trained for 2:15. So anyway, the point here is close the gap between your dream car and the car that you wrote down, because it's probably not the same. Start dreaming. Well, no, not start dreaming. Start asking for what you really want in every category, not just in terms of cars, but in every category. So if you check out the book title once again is How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever, you will find that same lesson repeated. And actually, also in The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, you'll find the same lesson repeated. In many of these books, in many of these speeches by thought leaders, they all say the same thing. You've got to start programming your frequency to what you actually want, not what you think you can have. Okay, moving on. So, reticular activating system. I want to talk about the reticular activating system for a second because we've talked about it before and it's just so powerful. That's what we were just talking about passively a couple of seconds ago, but actively talking about the reticular activating system. Yesterday, I talked here on the show about gambling and what happened. Boom. All of a sudden, all these things show up in my worldview. So I just mentioned the book, How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever. By who? By Victor Bach. This morning in my morning practice, I get offered a book by Amazon Kindle, which is by Victor Bach, the same author. And what's it about? Gambling. I was like, what? Wow. Right? So I'm telling you, like, all these things are connected. Did Victor Bach just write that book? No. It's because of my reticular activating system. I have opened my reticular activating system to gambling for the moment. And so therefore, I happened to notice that book. And the universe happened to push it towards me all at the same time. Then I go jogging and I listen to the podcast that I listen to 90% of the time when I go jogging. I listen to this podcast about the psychology of trading because my philosophy is to drill it down in my subconscious mind before I really get too far into it. But to passively learn the psychology of trading as I listen. Anyway, the point is I've listened to this podcast a number of times, all the episodes, and I just repeat the episodes. This morning's episode was about gambling, right? Had I heard it before? Obviously, I've heard it before because I've listened to the whole podcast. Did I pay attention to it before? No, I have no recollection of listening to this podcast before, but I must have, right? And it was about gambling. So, reticular activating system is always at work. It has two functions. It filters and it seeks, which is why I call it the filter seeker. All right? So, filters, meaning that if you suddenly become interested in something or become re-interested in something, like something you used to be interested in, and then you got away from it and you just got interested again, that's the filter. So what happens in your brain is the reticular activating system will say, oh, we're interested in this again. Let's pay attention to it. And it happens immediately, like within a second. It happens immediately, and you start noticing more things in that category. The other thing it does is it seeks. So what you expect, what you believe at a subconscious level, it will go fine. And even at a conscious level, if you're constantly thinking about, let's say, the things that your husband does that you don't like, your reticular activating system will go to work. We'll say, hey, we're looking for more bad stuff back there, and we'll just give you more bad stuff. You'll notice more and more bad things. That's the way it works. And you can't turn it off. The best thing I've heard to do in terms of modulating it is meditation. But you can't turn it off. And we all have one. So it's best to figure out ways to work with it. Anyway, that's my story about the reticular activating system for today. All of a sudden, I noticed a book by the same author about gambling, and I listened to a podcast. The next episode it plays when I go running today is about gambling. This stuff works. This stuff works. These are invisible laws that are at work at all times. Anyway, what did they say in the podcast episode? Let's do the affirmation first and come back to that. All right, so here's our affirmation. Where's our affirmation about being millionaires? I hope you guys are saying this all the time and not just on the show. I am so happy and grateful to be a multi-millionaire in every area of my life. I am so happy and grateful to be a multi-millionaire in every area of my life. Ashe. Okay, and there's my reminder. If you only spend your what, everybody should know this by heart by now. If you only spend your what, you'll stay poor. If you only save your what, you'll stay middle class. You must invest in order to change your financial landscape. Okay. So that's it. Let's go back to the podcast. So as I said, I listened to the podcast today that I usually listen to. Today's episode was about gambling. Although the podcast as a whole is about trading. Now, what they said in the podcast is basically that gamblers are better stock traders. Actually, are better traders, period, because there are different financial instruments that you can trade. I don't know if you know that, but there are different things that you can trade. But obviously, we're trading every day. We're trading money for goods. So that's another way to think about it. Like, we're already trading. But also, in terms of trading financial instruments, there's stock, there's futures, there's commodities, there's Forex, meaning currencies. There's all these different things we can trade. But for now, let's talk about stocks. So gamblers tend to make better traders. Why? Why? Because they have programmed themselves to look for very slight odds in their favor. Now, the funny thing about that is that's not the way we think about gambling, right? At least that's not the way I've thought about gambling. I've thought about gambling as just throwing money away. And some people do that. Some people go to Vegas with a bag of money, leave with an empty bag, right? But many people, those people, like the people I met at the Project Love Strong Change for Change Gala, those people have dedicated their lives to gambling, or a portion of their lives, I should say. And therefore, they know that there are odds, and they can work the odds in their favor. And this applies to almost all of the gambling, what do you call those? Games, all the games. But according to my Blackjack teacher from Saturday night, Blackjack has the best odds that you can create for yourself. What I like about that is that it's also the best odds for learning, because if you've ever played cards, if you've played spades or bid whist or tunk or whatever else that you've played in your life and gotten good at it, then you've already built the muscle that you can apply to trading, right? Because it's about seeking just a slight edge. So anyway, going back to the podcast, what they said is that having just a slight edge will serve you well. And people who gamble often have developed their minds to look for just a slight edge. And even the whole casino system is based on the idea of just a slight edge. What they said in the podcast, and I haven't fact checked this, but what they said in the podcast is the casino is built to always win at a rate of about 1%. 1%? Yeah, just 1%. 1 to 2% over time is what is meant by the house always wins. It's just that 1 to 2% over time that makes them profitable to do all the things they do, to put up the big spenders and free sweets, to give you free food if you're gambling, free drinks if you're gambling, to build these large palatial places. Just 1 to 2% funds all of that. The challenge with regular people is we start thinking we got to win 100%, 90%, that we got to win it all or nothing. Whereas if you approach it like a gambler, where you're only trying to get 1 to 4%, just an edge of 1 to 4%, you understand that if you play consistently at a level that gets you returns of about 1 to 4%, then you're going to win in the long term, just like casinos do. So it's about the long-term play instead of the short-term play. The long-term play instead of the short-term play. What does that remind you of? Investing in the stock market. We've been talking about that a lot. You buy, hold, and just hold forever, really, to build wealth in the stock market as an investor. Here's the thing, though. Here's another thing. It's all related. It's all related because gamblers are looking for a slight edge, right? You apply that to trading, then traders are also looking for a slight edge. Loss is assumed by both gamblers and traders. You're going to lose, but all you have to do is win at a rate of 1 to 4% over time, and you're going to come out a winner. Mind-boggling. That means you're losing 94% of the time, right? But my math is not quite right. 96% of the time. And you're still winning. That's a game changer. Okay. So anyway, that slight edge can be applied to trading in terms of when to buy a stock position. Like what we've been doing, what I've been doing is just buying at market rate. Market rate is like going to a restaurant and getting the market price for a fish. Whatever the market price is. Whatever the price is right now, just give me the stock. That's what I do. So traders buy on limit, which means they only buy the stock at a certain price. They decide, okay, I want Nike stock, but I want Nike stock at this number. And they just program the software. And I say program like it's complicated. It's not complicated. You just type the number in that you want. So I want Nike stock at $100 per share. Just a random example. So you just type that in the program, you set it, you forget it. If Nike stock ever drops to $100 per share, it automatically buys it for you. So that's how they get just that slight advantage over someone like me that decided on Monday, I want Nike stock and bought it on Monday at market price. So my price will be higher than their price. And the difference is patience and planning. So they decide what the price they want to pay is. So this also applies to investing. Like, watch how it all interconnects. It applies to investing because if you're buying and holding for the long term, it also makes sense to buy the stock at the optimal time. Again, most of us are probably buying at market rates, market prices. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But if you are able to know, okay, I can buy Nike at $100, that's reasonable. And I'm going to wait for that. And then I'm going to have more upside when it goes up. Then that makes your investment, your buy, hold, long-term investment, that much more profitable. Right? All this stuff is interconnected. It's all interwoven. So that said, I want to say something important. You've got to, stopping my alarm, you've got to make sure that you're in the habit of sitting in the pool, is how I think about it. Be in the habit of sitting in the pool. What do I mean by that? I mean, when I first started dabbling in the stock market, I was terrified. Right? And some of you probably still are, right? So I would just go in and I would get out as quickly as possible, right? Because I didn't want to mess anything up. But I forced myself in the beginning, every Tuesday, every Tip Tuesday, I forced myself to just go in there and just look around in my various portfolios. I wouldn't necessarily do anything. I would just look around. And that sitting in the pool for longer and longer periods of time helped me get comfortable. And so, funny thing, those of you that have Ameritrade know this already. Whenever you buy a position in Ameritrade, it asks you very politely, would you like to buy 100 shares? And so those numbers are astronomical. It calculates what 100 shares will be automatically. Would you like to buy 100 shares for $500,000? And I remember the first time it did that to me, I was like, ooh, don't press the wrong button. Don't press the wrong button. Of course, I now know that there are all these safeguards in place to prevent you from pressing the wrong button because they want their money. So you can't press the wrong button. I didn't know that then. But here's the point. The point is, now when I go into Ameritrade to do things and I see, would you like to buy 100 shares at $30,000? I don't freak out. Like, I am getting used to thinking about and dealing with big numbers. And it's trickling out into the rest of my life. Like, when I'm in here looking at buying something for $30,000 and I say, oh, no, thank you. Not today. Not today. I'm only going to spend $20 today, but maybe next time I'll spend $30,000. In my head, that trickles out to the rest of my life. And I feel much more confident dealing with bigger numbers. So what's the point? The point is, get in the pool. Number one, make sure you get in the pool and stay longer in the pool as much as you can. You got to just get in there and get comfortable. Get in there and get comfortable because you'll learn more while you're in there. Like, I don't think I ever would have discovered that the Dow is only 30 stocks if I wasn't spending more time in there. Like, when you go and you spend time, you'll see that each of these platforms offers you articles about the positions you already have, right? So if you scroll down, if you look around enough, you'll see, if you happen to own Nike stock, you'll see articles about Nike. If you happen to own Tesla stock, you'll see articles about Tesla. They're giving you information. So it's like the news, but it's news specific to your financials, like your money. So all that said, my advice is to spend more time in the pool, get more comfortable. Because as we just learned together, all these things are interrelated. Who would ever thunk that gambling will make you a better trader, which makes you a better investor? If those three things are woven together. Now, obviously, you can do any of them separately, but if you want to maximize your financial awareness, your financial acuity, and make it as beneficial as you can for yourself, then it makes sense to start learning these things and learning how they interconnect. And if you've ever played cards, as I said before, you've got a leg up. Now, I avoided cards for the most part. I played spades in college, but I was never the guy anybody wanted on their team because I'm only worried about getting books. If you play spades, you know what that means. But you have to, in order to be a real card player, you have to pay attention to the cards that have been dealt. And so if you have that experience in your past, you are predisposed to looking for an edge. So you could just do this easily. You could download an app for Blackjack on your phone or your computer or poker and start playing card games on a regular basis that invites you to learn how to find just that tiny edge, And that will help you when it's time later to start trading, which, as I just said, will help you become a better investor. All right? I'm just saying all these things are interrelated. By the way, I left on Saturday night with a blue chip, because of blue chip stock. So I've got a blue chip stock story from the Change for Change Gala, which I will tell tomorrow, about my blue chip. Okay, so it's time for prayer time right now, and then sit with Rev Melissa at 10:30. Reminders, Rev Melissa is traveling, so these are pre-recorded shows, but they're still enjoyable. This is the GPS series, which I enjoyed quite a bit, especially because I work in the car industry sometimes. So check it out at 10:30. Until then, until I see you again tomorrow, keep doing. Be a hero. Be your own financial hero. And remember that now is better than perfect in terms of investing. So go invest today, and I'll see you mañana.